Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to Project Cars 2, and welcome to Fuji. We're on the Grand Prix circuit. We are in an endurance car, and I believe there's some slight differences between GP and GT setup at Fuji, but Project Cars does not have the GT setup, they just have GP. But there's a reason we're at Fuji. We're in the Toyota TS050, which is one of the cars in the Spirit of Le Mans pack. I just naturally gravitate to the vintage cars, and I forget that there are some great contemporary hybrids in there. We're going to drive two of them today. We're going to drive the Toyota TS050, and we're going to drive the Audi, the high grip trim, the Fuji trim. And I didn't want to be cute. I didn't want to be clever and just hop in the Audi that's set up for Fuji and then drive it at Fuji. It's a little cute. I haven't been on this track in months, so I'm not going to be super fast, but mostly I just want to show you the cars. So one of the really cool things about these is they have the KERS system. And KERS is the Kinetic Energy Recovery System. And I guess it's derived from the, well, might not be derived from, but it's similar to the old braking system in Formula One that would charge up the little battery. Same kind of deal. And on this track, it's twisty enough that I haven't really found a lot of good places to use it other than the front straight. And I'll tell you something else that's been tricky is finding buttons for it. All my buttons are kind of spoken for on my gamepad. And I'll tell you what, let me get through this complex. And I'll tell you. Because it's hard to talk when you're driving. Or at least it is for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just goofy. Well, I think we've established I'm pretty goofy, but you know what I mean. It doesn't have, there's no meter for it. Well, I mean, yeah, there's a meter for it. That's it. On the right side of the Motec, that vertical white bar, there's a meter for it. But what I mean by that is there's no way to meter it out. It's either on or off. Here we go. And you got to get into a higher gear. Here we go. That's KERS. It's the Fast and Furious button. It's the Nitro button. Yeah. Right. And that now it's empty. But when we brake down here, when we brake way too early down here, there we go, then it tops off. And you can use it anytime you want. Like we'll use it right here. The problem that I have with it is because it doesn't meter, because it's just on off, I really need to be selective about where I use it. And I'm on a track like this, I'm super cautious because I feel like all of Fuji is just one giant decreasing radius turn. But enough about KERS. The prototype cars from the Spirit of Le Mans pack are awesome. They really are. And I'm not a fan of prototypes. I like sports cars. And I understand prototypes are sort of by definition sports cars. But I like something that's production based. When I look at something like a GT3 car, anyone, Porsche, Aston Martin, Bentley, doesn't matter. When I look at a GT3 car, I think that is based on a car that I would love to take up in the canyons or take out on a twisty road in the country. I would not want to take a prototype on a twisty road in the country. Like on the one level, you think, yeah, that'd be fun, that'd be cool. Yeah, it would be kind of fun, but it would also be a nightmare because there's no visibility. You can't really take your girl with you. And they're twitchy as hell. Very loud. Very twitchy. Right, I'm going to hop in replay. We'll take a look at this from the outside, and then I'm going to hop in the Audi. So we get this hauled down here. I know I could just hit the button, but you know me. View replay. Let's do it. So yeah, good modeling, good textures, good lighting. I know Project Cars 2 gets a little crap from the community because they don't offer mod support. And I know they get some crap from the community that like, oh, it's not a real sim, it's an arcade game. And I understand where they're coming from because there are simulations that are much more accurate and realistic. I think Project Cars, for me, it's always struck a nice balance. It's accessible, it's pretty, it's accurate enough. There's never been a time when I've been playing Project Cars and thought, oh, this is not even realistic at all. It may not be as realistic as some other sims, but when you look at the total package, I think it's an amazing sim. And it can be frustrating that there's no mod support, but the great thing about no mod support, you have to admit, is there's no drama. You know, you turn the game on, you turn the sim on, and you play it, and it just works. There's no conflicts, there's no, you know? So, I think Project Cars 2 is awesome. And I think all the DLC they drop is awesome too. So that's the Toyota TS050. We're going to hop out and hop in that Audi. Bear with me just for a second. So we're going to exit. Yes, I do want to exit. And this, hopefully this won't take too awful long. What did we say? Audi. So many cars in this game. We want the Audi Fuji right there. Select. There we go. So yeah, I'm not going to drive the Porsche 919. I've seen a ton of reviews on it, and it's a great car, but I drive Porsches all the time. And what's the other one? The Audi Le Mans trim. Doesn't make sense. I mean, we're already at Fuji. Let's just drive it. You got it. So something else that's been weird, and it's working with curves has really challenged me to do it, I have to say. I try to set up all my controllers for all my sims in exactly the same configuration. And the reason I do that is moment. Oi. The reason I do that is when things get a little grippy in a race, I can't be like thinking about buttons or looking for buttons. I need to just like instinctively hit a button. This is so different than that Toyota. It's so torquey. So that means all my buttons on all my sims have to do exactly the same thing. And the problem is that not all sims have the same features. So something like Project Cars has a pit request button, as does F1 2017. And R Factor does as well. Assetto Corsa does not. You just drive into the pit and they're magically waiting for you. So the temptation is use that button in Assetto Corsa as an example. Since we don't ever have to make a pit request, use that button for something else. And there's two reasons I don't do that. Here we go. One is, Assetto Corsa Competizione is going to be out pretty soon. And it's not inconceivable that they would have a pit request. And the other is, I don't want to get in the habit of, like I said, having to think about it, because then things are configured differently. So essentially, I have to let a button sort of go to waste. Does that make sense? Rather than repurpose it. So I've never really used curves before because I'm not really into the prototype cars. So I had to kind of reorder everything on my controller to make room for curves in a place that's kind of easy and natural and instinctive to reach for. So where I finally put it was my right shoulder button, which used to be something else. So now my left shoulder button is DRS, my right shoulder button is curves, and that's pretty natural for me. But I had to, like, move everything else around, if that makes sense. So the whole thing turned into, it was like a word problem from high school algebra, right? Like, if William has a game controller with 20 buttons on it, and William has 5 racing sims that each have 15 buttons that are the same, and the remaining 5 are all different. You see what I'm getting at? Right. Let's take a look outside. See how it looks. But I finally did get everything figured out, and I'm pretty pleased with it. Man, it's amazing how much prototype cars, like if you look at them from a certain angle, how much they're starting to look like Formula One cars. Beautiful. So yeah, I did get everything configured. Curves is critical. I've done a couple sort of sprint races, like 5 laps, 10 laps. Curves is absolutely critical if you're racing in this class. And it's not just on the straights. It's got to be something that you use consistently on every lap as it's available. And then I also found it's helpful if you save a little bit. I know this is it's a little stuttering right now, but in the corner of the screen it's saying we're at 60 FPS, so I do apologize. It's something you have to use consistently, but other than that long, like at Fuji as an example, other than that long front straight, always save 20 or 30% for passing. But it's something that you will use throughout the lap, and you absolutely have to stay competitive. So that's the reason that I had to get that button in a place where I could hit it just very naturally and instinctively over and over and over throughout the lap, because you will be really banging on that curves button if you want to stay competitive. If you don't, at the same places on every lap, in exactly the same places, you will see the traffic just pull away from you. Right, there you have it, folks. That's the Audi in the Fuji high grip trim. Thanks for stepping back. No. I'm going to try one more time. Thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Project Cars. We'll see you next time. Take care now.